Hey guys, my name is Max, and today on the Halo Chronicles I'm going to be talking about the new Monitor's Bounty update, why I love it so much, and some of the improvements I would make to Halo 5 Guardians. So Monitor's Bounty has been probably one of my favourite updates to Halo 5 so far. They've brought out so much new stuff that I just did not see coming. I knew the custom game browser was coming, but I didn't think there would be anything like what we got as the final product, and I feel Halo 5 is now a fully complete game. I think what 343 have done so far with the monthly updates is perfect, and if they can do that for Halo 6, building off of what they just did for Halo 5, and simply adding month to month to month, the game will only get even better. So firstly, I'm going to be talking about a lot of the little things that I really liked about this update, because some of the more general stuff is all really great, but I wanted to just talk about a few of the smaller points, such as having rec weapons in your loadouts. So when you set up a game, you can now choose any weapon for players to start with. A few mini games I made, I know my survival game type I made a few months back, I really wanted to have the Gunfighter Magnum in there, but because you couldn't do it off of the start, I had to just stick with the default Magnum. And I know this has really helped with people who want to do competitive stuff as well, because the tactical Magnum is working out really well in competitive custom games at the minute. I know YouTubers like Vetoed have played around with it, and it actually, I think, really improves gameplay, so we can almost completely replace the BR with these Magnums and still have a really interesting experience. I'd like to talk about the UI improvements. They've put a few small little details, such as being able to use your left and right bumper to go between the different lobby screens. I feel like it just looks a little bit better, and considering what we had right at the beginning of Halo 5, the UI has come such a long way. Also, the aiming's actually changed slightly in Halo 5 since the update. It now has less sort of sluggish drop-offs of your reticle and your crosshairs just changing direction suddenly, and it makes aiming so much more reliable than it ever has been in Halo 5. I personally am loving this change. I haven't noticed it too much. I know a lot of people have been sort of raving about it, and I haven't seen a huge improvement, but the gameplay does definitely feel much smoother, and on my first day playing it I noticed the biggest difference. I couldn't quite tell what it was, so when I went online and checked forums and things, I could really see that there's been some big changes happening. And the thing I say I love the most besides the custom games browser is the social playlists have just been completely boosted. I love Team Skirmish now, I love Super Fiesta and Infection, they're my three most common to play game modes. Action Sack is now huge as well, and there's just so much for people who don't want to play competitively to play. I'd say my biggest problem at the minute is in Team Skirmish. There are a lot of people going in teams of 4 communicating and just absolutely destroying smaller teams. So maybe if there was a bit more of an incentive to have a slightly more social experience, because the game type is almost the same as standard Team Arena, just it's not ranked. And as a result of that, there's so many people going in there that maybe are trying and tryharding as teams, and whilst that is fine, it causes quite a lot of boosting quite a lot of times where I've gone in there as a solo player and then just being destroyed by a team communicating. A way to balance that obviously would be to balance parties so you only match people in the party size that you're searching in as well. So if you're searching in 4s, you'll only match teams of 4s. I know that was much more common in the previous Halo games, and it's something I really think needs to come back. Or possibly giving more incentive for these players not to play skirmish possibly, like having much more map rotation, so there's not necessarily an impossible chance of memorizing the maps, but having more variety of maps than in Team Arena, so that players in skirmish can try so many new maps. It can possibly even be sort of a testing ground for maps that could go into Arena or the competitive scene. It would be more experimental, so it might put off people who are in sort of much more competitive teams, because it's all good for them playing in those games when they don't want to play a super competitive game, but I don't necessarily want to be coming up against teams of 4 who are all in the same party when I'm solo queuing. And speaking of the Forge maps, I would say that Forge maps are now completely on par with developer-made maps. Since this update, I've seen so many new maps coming out with Sankili and Forerunner architecture that just look insane. And I think 343 have done such a good job adding so many new features and little things in, and almost they could take some of the work away from themselves, because I think for Halo 6, if 343 could start by possibly even paying some Forge designers to make maps for the game, it would give people even more of an incentive to build even more maps to send into 343. It would show like a level of communication and transparency with the audience that I think would just be perfect. Sometimes I feel when I'm forging or with a friend, there's not really too much of an incentive to build a big map because you never really know what's going to happen. But with the custom game browser especially, and maybe a chance to get your map put in matchmaking increased, I think that would really add to the experience. So 343 could start by adding maps to Skirmish, adding them to social playlists, and then if they worked in social playlists, either keeping them there or possibly pushing them onto matchmaking, giving lots of different Forge creators chances to make maps, so 343 can focus a little bit more on other aspects of the game than having to put out 10, 15, 20 maps when there's already so many beautiful maps in Halo 5 that they could build off of and have the community help them do it. Because there's just so many people out there building maps that 343 would really be missing a trick if they didn't utilise it for the next game. So now just a few small negatives I wanted to talk about in regards to Halo 5's new update. And the first one, this one's actually been one that's been going on for quite a while, and I thought they might have fixed it in this, but unfortunately it's still a broken problem, and that is that sometimes I notice you aren't able to mute players. If I go online, sometimes I will not be able to mute lobbies for the entire time I'm on, and if I restart my Xbox it's sometimes okay, but not always, and this can be sort of a really long process. And it does get quite annoying if I'm playing 24-man Warzone and there's sort of one or two people talking really loudly in the lobby and I just can't mute it. I sometimes have to then play without my headphones or have to start a party, and sometimes if it's a really intense game you just don't have the time to do that. And especially possibly in sort of a Slayer type environment, if someone's got their mic a bit too close or something, or there's a bit of distortion or music coming through it and you just do not have the time to add yourself to a private party or something, then it can really sort of subtract from the experience. And it's such a small little thing that only really broke, I'd say, after Warzone Firefight came out, and I've noticed it's sort of been a problem since then. I don't really know if anyone else is having that issue. And next, the custom game browser has been freezing quite a lot and runs really poorly on Forge made maps. This is a real problem. In my next video coming up, hopefully in the next week, and it'll be a game night I had about 3 days ago, where every time I was host on a custom game, if more people joined than the amounted lobby, so say if there's a lobby of 12, maximum 12 people in there, if a 13th player joined and was waiting, it would boot me out the game and put them in instead, and all my friends in the lobby would just be really confused. They'd sort of get frozen for 3 or 4 minutes and then they'd be fine, and I'd be on the main menu. And that happened back to back quite a few times. We did it on non-Forge maps as well and it was still happening. And it's a problem that comes from this mode being so new. I think over time it can be remedied, changed, and then it could be a little bit more easily accessible so that it's not creating so many issues. I know I played Super Fiesta on a FFA 16-man game, and it got to the point where the map was just completely breaking with the amount of vehicles that were on it. And even when there was only sort of 12 players in the game, there was sort of off in the distance parts of the maps were disappearing and reappearing, and there was huge frame rate dips. So I'd say the custom game browser does still need a few tweaks to be sort of perfectly fitting, and there's only one more issue I'd like to talk about, and that is the scripting breaking. And since 343 have brought in sort of new mechanics for scripting so that you can make objects sway left and right and things like that, they have broken a lot of the old scripting mechanic game modes. So in Infection, the map Luna has a central piece of, I don't really know what to call it, part of the walkway is sort of hanging and floating, and it swings back and forth, but because of the new update, that is completely broken, so it just sort of judders back and forth. So when you see the game start on Luna, everything's breaking, juddering, shooting back and forth, and it looks quite horrible. And on my map, Valiant's Descent, one of my sort of best maps that I've built on Halo 5, and I built that with Matt, and we built the airlock room, but since the update, the airlock has only occasionally been working, so it would sort of work about 50-60% of the time. I know there's sort of Forge mini games, sort of like it was Clogged Toilet, the one where in Infection the infected players get shot up, but at the start of the game sometimes the lid of the toilet doesn't open, so all the players are just stuck, and the infected players can't actually get to the survivors because the scripting mechanic didn't activate. I'd say the only one that hasn't really been affected by this is Survive the Underground. but these are just sort of small issues, but they're all starting to stack up a little bit. Overall, I am loving this update, and what 343 have added have been very, very good, only with minor issues coming through it, and a lot of my problems with the update have been ones that sort of already pre-existed. In the background, there has been some Super Fiesta gameplay, and I really enjoyed the game. The first game, such an intense ending. I've also decided to use theatre to showcase this because this was filmed, so this was my first time filming after the update, so I wanted to see what theatre would be like as a result of the update, and it's changed a little. I mean, it's slightly less laggy when you do the boost slide trick, but they've still got a big problem, and I had an example of it in this game. Actually, I'll probably leave it in the gameplay, you've probably seen it by now, where if you're killed by a Promethean weapon that disintegrates you, it flips your perspective to someone else because it treats your body like it's not there anymore. So the game counts you as not in the game anymore for that brief second, and your perspective is shot to someone randomly chosen. And that does happen in this game, to show you an example, and that's been around for a little while, and I thought that would have possibly been fixed in this update. So 343 just need a few more hot fixes for this, and then if they can push on for Halo 6, if they can push on for doing more of these little updates and just adding to them permanently, then Halo will be back to what it was always meant to be. It's appealing to casual players, it's appealing to fans of the old games, new games, and it's just such a great experience at the moment. Halo is on such a rise. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it, and I'm enjoying the update so much. I'll be playing it tons over the next few days. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Oh, good lord!
What?
Oh my
Oh,
god.
I just went across the first gap.
Chris, I made it. Oh, I'm still on the pipe though. This pipe goes for miles, what the hell?
No, no,
I
no,
wish
no,
I knew
no,
what you
no,
were
no,
talking
no, no,
about.
no,
Oh my god, I just saw Chris fly past me. Poor
How did you
Chris.
get past the second gap, like the massive one?
You have to jump across it.
Yeah,
Ah,
but
what the
did you-
hell?
did
What
you
kind of
boost
jump
or-
was that?
What is this? Oh my god.
I don't know what happened there. He jumps even further than all the others.
No.
I'm getting fed up with this now.
Oh,
I can't get
wow,
past the first
wow.
section.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
No matter how well I do, I can never make the last jump.
Whoa. Oof. Where am I? This is really
Oh,
weird.
good lord.
Oh damn. I'm at the next bit. There's no checkpoints, honestly, Matt. Chris, you know that pipe? If you die
Yeah.
anywhere, like beyond that pipe, you better cry, because it is friggin' long. I'm still going.
I know.
This course is huge. I'm gonna be
So
so
that
upset.
second bit of gap in the pipe, how did you get past?
I made it to that.
I can't
I finally
remember,
made it to
honestly.
here.
Did you
Where's
like
this
thrust
go? I'm
the,
scared.
or literally just jump? Oh, good. No, for God's sake.
No. Oh my god. Oh my god. I made it.